Thanks, John, and good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to start by presenting this proverbial glass that's about to show up, that is half full and half empty to you, as a metaphor for the story of global health. The half full perspective focuses on major human achievements in the health arena. So, for example, throughout most of human history, global life expectancy fluctuated at about 25 to 30 years. But now, in the past 50 years alone, life expectancy has increased by 2 decades worldwide. And these improvements have not yet run their course. A number of credible scholarly analyses predict that life expectancy will pass over 100 in some countries by the latter half of this century. And not only are we adding years to life, we also appear to be adding life to years. I wouldn't go so far as to project that the average person will come to look like this, but we are going to see a lot of people enjoying centenarian status in the years ahead. Now let me turn to the half-empty view of the glass. This perspective focuses on a set of what many of us in the public health field consider appalling deficits and disparities that characterize global health. Of the 57 million people who will die worldwide this year, 9 million of them will be children under the age of 5. That translates into roughly 24,000 deaths every day, of which 2/3 are readily avoidable with existing knowledge and technology, ranging from hand washing to oral rehydration therapy to basic vaccinations. And child mortality is just the tip of the iceberg. We still struggle with a slew of infectious diseases that affect adolescents, prime-age individuals, and elderly adults. And let's not forget the coming tidal wave of non-communicable diseases like cancer and diabetes. The public health community is always happy to toast its achievements, but the real focus is on what needs to be done to fill the glass to the brim. Doing that will require the generation of new knowledge. It's also going to require the closing of existing knowledge action gaps. And for that, we traditionally turn to government and civil society. They've done an amazing job in many resource-poor settings, but we have to face the hard reality that it's not enough. And the main proposition that I want to advance in this IdeasLab is that we can make significant further headway by harnessing private enterprise and the profit motive to promote public health. The first thing that private enterprise has going for it is its reach. There are thousands of villages around the world without the most basic primary healthcare services, but hardly any that Coca-Cola can't reach. The private sector also has an amazing ability to reach people with its messages. Here you see a classic public health message from India, which is very directive, like most government public health messages. It says, avoid unsafe sex. It orders us to use condoms. By contrast, the private sector understands that most people don't want to be told what to do, especially teens and young adults. And it has a fundamentally different approach to messaging. Its approach, as you can see, is edgier. It's more in your face. These photos were taken earlier this month at a not-for-profit restaurant chain in Thailand named Cabbages and Condoms. They're doing a booming business. They're decorated with condom-clad mannequins and amusing displays, and they give out condoms after meals in place of mints. In other words, patrons aren't told what to do or not to do, but everyone gets the idea. The second thing private enterprise has going for it is its capacity to bring things to scale. This is the petri dish that Alexander Fleming stared at when he discovered penicillin in 1928. But that drug didn't reach the general population until after World War II, close to 2 decades later. During that 20-year period, people continued to die of simple infections, even though the health benefits of penicillin were known. Eventually, the government recognized and acknowledged that it couldn't by itself bring production to scale, and it incentivized companies like Pfizer, Merck, and Squibb to take over, and they started producing penicillin in mass quantities, ushering in a new era in global health. Innovation is the third virtue of relying on private enterprise. What you see here on the left is what we call a hanging latrine. You might recall a similar image from the movie Slumdog Millionaire. What's so appalling about this image is that people defecate and urinate over the same body of water that children bathe and play in. But flush toilets use about 8 liters of water per flush, and they're not practical for most parts of the world. So enter Dr. Patak, who invented the Sulab toilet system. That's environmentally safe. It uses less than 2 liters of water per flush. It's made of inexpensive, locally available materials, and it generates employment in construction and maintenance. This model is a win for the environment, a win for the local economy, and a win for public health. The other example I have for you here, as a final example, is the CIMI pharmacy chain in Mexico, which targets the low-income population and offers generic drugs at 30% or lower cost than its branded competitors. It's profitable. It's expanded to 4,000 locations in 10 years, and now it's going international. As you can see from that picture of the CIMI chicas, that business definitely knows something about marketing. So the bottom line is reach, scale, innovation, and sustainability. That's the case for harnessing private enterprise and the profit motive to promote public health. And to close, I'm just going to leave you very quickly with a quote from Winston Churchill, who once said, "Some people regard private enterprise as a predatory tiger to be shot. Others look on it as a cow they can milk. Not enough people see it as a healthy horse pulling a sturdy wagon." That's what private enterprise can be to global health, a healthy horse pulling a sturdy wagon. Thank you.